For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Israeli airstrikes on a school-turned-shelter in Gaza City have killed at least 23 people, setting tents ablaze, burning some alive. Another 6 people were killed in separate strikes, including 5-year-old twin girls. Meanwhile, France, Germany, and Britain condemned Israel's 7-week blockade on all imports to Gaza, including humanitarian aid, as intolerable. This as Gaza's health ministry says thousands of children are surviving on less than a meal a day. United Nations spokesperson Stéphane Dujarric says malnutrition is on the rise.
Several people suffering from severe acute malnutrition have been admitted to hospitals for treatment this week, with cases on the rise. Despite extremely low supply, some 180 community kitchens in Gaza continue to operate every day. However, many of these kitchens are at imminent risk of closing due to the shutting down, since the stocks are being depleted.
Arab mediators, meanwhile, are working on a proposal to end the war that would include a 5 to 7 year truce and the release of all remaining hostages. Palestine's President Mahmoud Abbas called on Hamas to release the hostages in order to what he said was block Israel's pretext for continuing the war. A planned meeting between top U.S., British, French, and Ukrainian diplomats to discuss a peace deal to end Russia's war in Ukraine was canceled at the last minute. Secretary of State Marco Rubio pulled out. President Donald Trump's Mideast envoy Steve Witkoff was to attend. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance said today during a visit to India, the U.S. has issued an explicit proposal to the Russians and the Ukrainians that would freeze territorial lines at some level close to where they currently stand, with both sides having to give up some territory they currently hold. He did not provide further details and said it's time for them to either say yes or for the United States to walk away from the process. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky ruled out ceding territory to Russia as part of any potential peace agreement Tuesday, calling it a non-starter. Today, he said Ukraine was ready for peace negotiations. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has unveiled a massive overhaul of the State Department, reducing the staff by 15% while closing and consolidating more than 100 bureaus worldwide. Those likely to be eliminated include the Office of Global Women's Issues, as well as the State Department's diversity and inclusion efforts. Spokesperson Tammy Bruce.
The sprawling bureaucracy created a system more beholden to radical political ideology than advancing America's core national interests. That is why today Secretary Rubio is announcing a comprehensive reorganization plan that will bring the department into the 21st century.
It follows the Trump administration's near gutting of the USAID, the Agency for International Development, with an estimated $40 billion budget focused largely on humanitarian aid. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is assailing the International Monetary Fund and World Bank after they warned Tuesday President Donald Trump's tariffs could cause inflation. Trump Tuesday said 145% tariffs on China could come down substantially. Today, he said negotiations with countries continue. 6 Democrats traveled to the detention facility in Louisiana, where the Trump administration is holding 2 visa holders who've spoken out against Israel's war in Gaza: Columbia graduate Mahmoud Khalil and Tufts University PhD student Ramesa Ozturk. They both have American-born children. The administration is moving to deport them. Here's Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey and Congress members Jim McGovern and Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts speaking outside the facility.
It's a national disgrace what is taking place. They are not being charged with a crime. There is no evidence that could convict them of a crime.
Both of these individuals are political prisoners. I really worry that this administration is ushering in a new era of McCarthyism.
Mahmoud Khalil has lived in Syria under Assad. He knows what an authoritarian regime looks like. And he says this is it.
Markey says the Trump administration has sent the two 1,000 miles from their homes to Louisiana before the most conservative appellate court in order to defend its abduction and detention of migrants the administration disagrees with, seeking a more favorable ruling of its actions. Markey noted Ozturk simply wrote an op-ed. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres gave a dire warning about the state of the climate today and said a meeting with diverse diplomats affirms a global commitment to climate action at this year's climate discussions, COP30 in Brazil.
We don't have a moment to lose. No region is being spared from the ravages of accelerating climate catastrophes. And the crisis is deepening poverty, displacing communities, and fueling conflict and instability.
Critics have said global climate talks have been hijacked by fossil fuel interests. Guterres says prices for renewables have plummeted and climate jobs are growing around the world. His comments come as a new study out today estimates the world's largest corporations, 111 of them, have caused $28 trillion in climate damage, with more than half of the total figure coming from 10 fossil fuel companies. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.